Hey everyone, welcome back to Toasty TCG. In today's video, I've got my post-Rage of the Abyss Kashtira deck profile. This is something that's gone through quite a lot of significant changes from the last list I posted. Definitely like a lot of different, a lot of testing, a lot of changes over time, which you'll notice pretty quickly. So to get right into it, we'll start with the Kashtira package itself, of course. We got the Big 10, 3 Fenrir, 3 Unicorn, 3 Rise Heart, and Scareclaw. And then we are finally returning to Mr. Day 2 himself, Kashtira Ogre. The reason that I wanted to play Ogre and the traps that you'll see are, I found that this format has, format started to slow down again. To the point that this is playable, whereas the issue that I had after when Snake Eye was first came out full power was if you open Ogre just by itself isn't that good. The traps were just too slow, whether you're playing Big Bang as a board breaker or where you're taking the risk of seeing Preparation going second. They just weren't doing enough. They're just too slow. It's just too much of a risk to play a trap card you couldn't use on your opponent's turn while on their first turn, versus it just being a hand trap to try to interact with Snake Eye. But I feel current decks are a bit slower and easier to interact with, so I do like this, the Kashtira Ogre, and now I'm just testing out the traps, seeing how I like them as well. Which, speaking of, we'll get into the spells and traps now. So first off, it's mandatory 3 Thriosis, 3 Birth, 4 Planets. I always say 2 Theosis mathematically is incorrect. 3 Birth, this is all just standard. And then we're only playing 1 Preparation. I was gonna play Big Bang, but I actually just couldn't find my Big Bang. So I ended up testing out Preparation tonight and the day on Monday. And Monday and Wednesday, I actually really liked Preparation. It did a lot of work every time I saw it. Card was fantastic. It was only the only issue I had was you're playing a 4th Birth now, which not a bad thing, except when you don't see names your opening hands Theosis, Birth, Preparation, 2 hand traps, but that's the risk that you're always playing, just playing Kashtira in general. So that's the whole Kashtira engine. Onto our hand traps and non-engine. First we have the obvious 3-dimension shifter, then the 2 super staple hand traps of the format, Imperm and Ash, and then the other pretty much super staple of the format, Fool Loss. These cards, just this is actually a format where I feel you can play less hand traps and get away with it, because Fool Loss will just draw you into them, or you'll just see them, and you can actually just play more just non-engine consistency stuff. So there's the 1 Prosperity, of course. This format I've been testing Thrust Talent. I've been liking these a lot, especially Thrust, because if your opponent Peruli as you can thrust and just, even if you're going first, you can search Imperm if you want. You can search whatever. This is pretty good, especially after going into game 2 and 3, once you sided in normal traps, Thrust is insane. And then finally, 3 Lava Golem. So this list, we have moved away from the Bestials, the Nibs, Desires, Gold Sarcophagus, Rota. Everything that I've tried to replace Prosperity with has been cut. I guess you said, these are the replacements. Fool Loss is the replacement. So that was basically what I ended up with. Instead of trying to just find something that replaces Prosperity, I don't think there just ultimately wasn't a great replacement until Fool Loss came out, and these are also pretty fantastic. But basically with Fulos, you're just like, these are like the cards that you want to draw into. You want to draw like your Golem or your when you're triple tactics or pot. Any of those cards, just so you can get into like more engine, or if you draw hand traps off Fulos, of course. Moving on to our extra deck. Got one Shangira still. I was thinking about playing two Shangira. So the idea here was Nib is falling out of the format, right? So it's like the reason why people aren't playing Nib in the main, at least, is because Azamina puts up just like a generic negate. So a lot of people aren't playing Nib in the main, and then it's like hit or miss if people are playing it in the side. So you can play pretty greedy game one. But the idea here is like game one, you can make a Shangira, and then if you're on Big Bang, you can Rise Heart your Big Bang, get something back. So the first Shangira locks down one zone, then you make your second Shangira, standby, you get like a Fenrir, and then if you like resolve the Fenrir, or like you can summon Unicorn just so it's like easier to resolve, you can like lock two zones right away. I think that was something interesting I was thinking about. But ultimately, like, not finding the Big Bang is quite literally why this deck list is the way it is, versus it would actually be different had I found my Big Bang. Flare Metal, normally it's like it could be a time card. It would be like you missed your OTK, and now you put them on the clock, or it's like can't be destroyed by battle, so, or by can't be destroyed by card effects, so it's a very easy route to get into Zeus. Typhon, Big Eye, Drago Sack, Harmonizer, Double, Dark Armed. These cards are all pretty self-explanatory. And then, it's just like your Cybers package, two Spiders, turn your Spiders into Crystal Heart, get back the Spider with the Crystal Heart, make your Decode Talker, turn your Decode Talker either into an SP or an access code. Then you can go ahead and activate your Birth that you didn't use, bring back your either a Fenrir or a Unicorn, whatever you banished off your Rise Heart, to make your Shangira, or like a different rank 7. Yeah, all that stuff's like pretty just like straightforward stuff. And then finally the side deck. So for going second, typically when you're going second, you're just gonna like, it's very matchup dependent when you side out. I personally will side out the Ogre in preparation. And then, because I'm siding in Perulias, I feel like I can side out the Prosperity, because now I have 6 cards in my main that will draw me cards, so I don't feel like I need the Prosperity. Because also, keeping in mind, like, if like, you have Prosperity, right, and you draw into it, or it's in your hand, and you're going second, you activate it, it gets Ash negated, whatever, versus draw phase Perulia in response to you summoning from wherever, Fool Loss. So you're just going to draw cards no matter what off Perulia and Mulch Army, so I feel like Prosperity is actually a pretty easy side out. So you have Ogre, Preparation, Prosperity, and then matchup dependent, you can side out like Hand Traps, you can side out Thrust Talent. That's if you need the Feather Dust or Cosmic. Otherwise, it's just you side in the 3 Perulias. Also, you can consider Thrust as a card for going second. The second Thrust. Initially, I was maining both Thrust, and then when I decided I wanted to try out Ogre Preparation, that's when I actually moved this to the side deck. And it's pretty good. I don't feel like I've like had a game one where I'm like, oh man, if I just had 2 Thrust. I haven't regretted making that change. Going second is pretty just like, because like this deck does very well going second, and you have the main deck Lava Golem anyway, so you don't really need to like overdo like your side deck for going second. Going first is like really where it's at, because, and the reason why, like Kashtira can end on like these very weak, fragile boards. It does one or two things. It makes a very crazy, like, you have like the Fenrir, the Birth, the Unicorn, the Ogre Preparation, Shangira, Planet, or it's like empty board, you make like a Shangira, no back row, no planet, no other monsters, and just hope it doesn't get ashed. So, like, it's like one or the other typically. So going first is usually where Kashtira struggles, but I feel like you're still going to want to go first in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless, like, you're playing Tempai. So the side deck for Kashtira is more geared towards going first. And with that, you have the 1 Skill Drain, Anti-Spell, Triple Solemn Judgment, and then for our thrust targets, we have 2 different Dimension Ground, 2 Dimensional Barrier. So different Dimension Ground has been weird in my testing. I don't know if I like it a whole lot. Like, Azamina cards just contribute other, like, Sinful Spoil and Azamina cards, so it's like, if you activate this against them, they just tribute their spells, and it's like, it doesn't even matter. So maybe it's just, like, not as good. These can probably just be floodgates. Like, this could be like a rivalry in a macro, maybe, something like that. That might be worth considering. But I would say, like, these are probably cuttable, whereas, like, the dimensional barriers are significantly, like, it's, like, really good. Like, if your opponent's playing a deck where you can barrier them and you side it in, and then you go, like, they, like, activate, like, a Mulch Army, then you go, like, thrust, set barrier, and they just fucking lose. But, yeah, that's about it for the side deck. Overall, I think this is a very solid list. Yeah, I think the DDGs are just about all I would change. Maybe, like, if I can come across my Big Bang, somehow, like, finagle that into the deck. Extra deck feels pretty solid. Even if I were to find my Big Bang, I don't even know, like, if I were to play, like, double Shangira Big Bang, I don't even know where the cut here would be. It's just, like, extra deck's, like, super tight at this point. Like, if you're playing with the Cybers package, it's like, I don't know if I would cut these cards to run Big Bang and a second Shangira. I really don't know where the cut would be in general. But yeah, I appreciate if you guys enjoyed this profile on Kashtira. If you did, or if you have, like, any thoughts, opinions, comments, there's, of course, a comment section you can always use. And also, I'm almost near 200 subscribers. I appreciate everyone very much for helping me get there. If you like this type of content and want to help me get up to 200, I'd really appreciate that subscribe. And I'll catch you all guys in the next one.